Hi everyone, this is Ebere. Here to just bring you some quick information for year-end tax planning. A couple of people have reached out and asked about the year-end tax planning and how to continue wealth building through the pandemic. So we're just going to bring a couple of topics to you. The way that I'm going to address this is to talk about the wealth building plan and then also discuss the different things that you need to be aware of post pandemic. So this is going to be pretty quick, and then we'll take it from there. All right. So the next thing that we're going to look at is I'm Ebere Okoye. I'm a CPA active real estate investor and founder of the Wealth Building CPA. I help a lot of real estate investors, and I always love working with clients across the United States and helping them to plan to build their wealth. Being in the industry for so many years, we're very familiar with all of the money saving strategies that real estate investors need to implement. So this is my family. Love my children. My son just bought the PS5 with his own money, taught him how to save from last year to be able to afford to do this on his own. So it's a whole wealth building strategy that's going on. All right. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the whole wealth building plan. These are different stages of the wealth building plan. So as I go through each stage, I'll look at what we need to be aware of for the pandemic. All right. The wealth building program is a 12-month training program. It takes you step by step through everything that you need to do to be successful and efficient in your real estate business. So the first stage that we look at is the financial needs analysis. It's a very important that you define what it is that you want. What is your financial finish line? What is your goal? Why are you getting into real estate investing? It's very critical that you understand this because taking the time to implement a plan at the beginning will save you a whole lot of headache down the road. There's about 15, if not more, real estate strategies out there. So knowing exactly what your financial needs are, what your financial finish line is, what, assets, liabilities, time, and all that you have would help you to know exactly how real estate fits into your overall wealth building plan. And so looking at the post-pandemic analysis, one of the questions that we look at is which industries were pandemic proof. So just go through and do an analysis. We know that financial services was not impacted as much. If anything, they've grown significantly. We've known that a lot of online businesses have flourished. So just take the time to look at the industry that you're in. And was it pandemic proof? If it was impacted, it could be pandemic, could be recession. If it was impacted, what are you doing to retool so that if there's ever something like this that happens again, you're well prepared? No matter which industry that you're in, you need to learn how to do sales and pitching on a different service and product. And also you need to reestablish the right support system. So this is the time to kind of take a step back. What we started this journey in March and now we're in December. So almost 10 months in of riding the storm. So this is the time to really look back and say, what have I learned during this pandemic? How was my job? How was my business? Everything. And how do you retool? I don't know how many of you have read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Well, our cheese has moved and we need to go find cheese somewhere else. And like I said, two of the things that you need to do is learn how to do sales and pitching, no matter which industry that you're in, and then reestablish the right support system. Another thing that you need to look at is if you had emergency accounts, if you had tenants, if you had properties that you were rehabbing, if you had savings, how did all these help you during this period? Because if it didn't really help you that much, that means that what you had was fine, but you need other tools in your arsenal to know how to quickly pivot. So it's very important during the financial needs analysis is to know what you have, what you want, and exactly how it's going to be able to help you reestablish what it is that you're doing. All right, tax planning and preparation. So it says that during this stage, your tax returns, we usually analyze the last 3 years for accuracies and inconsistencies and any audit flags. So when we're looking at the post-pandemic analysis, I know a lot of you took out the PPP loans, a lot of you were on unemployment, and a lot of you collected EIDL. You also may have taken out the IRA distribution to take advantage of the $100,000 that can be spread out over 3 years. All these are going to impact your tax plan. And I know that a rule came out last week that if you got, the PPP loan, you cannot include the expenses for which you picked up the expenses that the PPP loan paid for. So there's just too many moving parts. So in dealing with tax planning and preparation this year, these are the things that we're going to be looking at. Then entity structuring. This one is going to go through pretty quickly, just using a legal entity to protect yourself. For the post-pandemic analysis, are you even an entrepreneur? Have you set up your own entity that is recession-proof, that it has the ability to adapt, to pivot, to evolve? One of the reasons why I love real estate is that there's 15 or 16 different strategies out there. If one strategy is not working during a recession, there's definitely another strategy that you can try out. So having the right entity structure that matches the real estate strategy that you've picked is going to be critical in recovering from this pandemic. Then the next thing is about setting up your entity. There's really nothing here about the pandemic, but just keep in mind that if you're setting up an entity, make sure that you're not using your name on the articles of organization. You're not the resident agent. You're not using your home address. Make sure that you have a properly drafted operating agreement, that you have an EIN and acceptance of filing, that you have a bank account set up. All these are going to be very critical. The reason why also the whole thing about setting up an entity is critical is that during the pandemic, most of the grants, loans, relief that were available were people who were already set up. They were set up prior to February. And a lot of the programs require that your business is in good standing. They require that you're registered. So it's important that you think about maybe starting a business now so that if there's other relief programs or something like this happens and there's help from the government to help us get through this time, you're set up and you're ready to take advantage of those things. The next thing that we look at is the business analysis meeting. Most, private organizations have like a privately held board, an alternative board that helps them do an analysis. But for real estate investors, where we're the only ones that are really the owners of the entity, sometimes we don't always have the opportunity to talk to alternative board. That's why it's important to be part of a mastermind group. Make sure that you're part of a club so you're talking to others. So, have you met with all your wealth building coaches during this period? Have you spoken to them to see what they're saying, what kind of advice they're giving you? This is something that's very critical. And then stage 6, have you committed to an investment plan with investment property purchasing real estate? Even though, yes, like the last one that happened in 2008, we took a significant hit, but real estate is still going strong. You do recover. And because there's many strategies out there that can be utilized, it's easier to recover from a real estate downturn. So if you haven't committed to an investment plan yet, this will be a really, really good time to think about it. And then the retirement planning, if you haven't been making contributions or set up like a solo 401k that's going to enable you contribute and then invest from there, now would be the time to think about it. The CARES Act for the post-pandemic removes the 10% penalty on early withdrawal from retirement accounts. So especially if it's because it's coronavirus related. So this is a great opportunity. If you need to take money out of your account and you've been impacted, you don't pay the penalty and you're able to spread it across 3 years. And then the year-end tax planning, I usually tell people that April 15th is your tax filing deadline. December 31st is your tax savings deadline. So really now is the time that you need to be taking a look at everything that happened for the year and seeing how you can save on taxes before the year runs out. So the next 2 things that we're going to focus on are just things that both business owners and individuals need to be aware of for the planning. So the first thing is the recovery rebate. The most important thing is if you didn't get the rebate now, you can still get it when you file your taxes. If your income in 2020 is going to be much higher than 18 or 19 and you should not have gotten the rebate, no worries. They're not asking you to pay it back. But if you did not, if you qualify to get it and you did not, you can get it during tax time. There's also provisions now for charitable contribution where you're able to get, $300 above the line. That means without itemizing. And then you can deduct up to 100% of your adjusted gross income for charitable contributions. And then exclusions for student loan repayments, you can exclude up to 2,500 from student loan repayments. So that's, pretty much some of the things that we need to be aware of for individuals. And then for businesses, the net operating losses from 2018, 2019 tax years can now be carried back. And then the excess business loss rules were suspended. There's a limitation on business interest that has been modified to allow more business interest to be deducted. Qualified improvement property is now eligible for 100% bonus depreciation. And then the employer portion of the Social Security tax is deferred. In addition to this, like I said in the first slide, also keep in mind that you do have the PPP loans, unemployment, that all need to be picked up in income this year. So as you're doing your year-end tax plan and analysis, it's to keep these in mind. Pretty much, like I said, this was going to be pretty quick. I just wanted to bring you some quick updates, things that you need to keep in mind as you continue to build your wealth and how the pandemic is affecting everybody's wealth building. Please feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us on the email that is included, and then you can also call us or go to our website. And I wish everybody a safe and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. And we look forward to talking to you later, and have a great rest of the day.